Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And today I have two guests who I think I can honestly say are the hippest, coolest guests I've ever had in the history of the show after 800 plus episodes. So I have Quincy Jones III and Shawn Ullman. They are the co-founders of Feel Rich. Quincy, Shawn, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you. And this is the coolest interview we've done, so.
Don't think I'm not going to tell people that everywhere I go for the next few weeks. That's all I'm going to talk about is Quincy Jones. And I'm the coolest interviewer that he's ever had. So, guys, thank you very much for being here. Shawn, you're the CEO. Tell us what Feel Rich is.
Yeah. So again, thank you for having us on here. So Feel Rich, we are a culturally relevant health and wellness media and entertainment company. So what that means is we leverage hip hop artists and celebrities and athletes to promote health as the new wealth to the multicultural demographic. So from our branded content to our live events, to our merchandise and products, to our social media engagement, we are redefining what it means to be rich.
That is really cool. Quincy, why do you care? Why have you signed on to this project with Shawn?
You know, in everything I do, I always try to have an underlying mission. It's something that my father taught me when I was a kid. You know, he told me, he said, whatever you do, try to find something that empowers the masses as well within that project. So in my past work with music, I always trying to find artists that had a message that can help their community, like Tupac or Ice Cube. And when I did documentaries in the past, we would always try to find something like an underlying mission behind everything that we did. So when we did a Tupac documentary, we focused a lot on how much he read, and it was about literacy, right? So, you know, substance and helping the community has always been a passion point of mine, so.
Yeah, that's great. And I appreciate you sharing those insights. Your father is known for being a great humanitarian, and it's great to see you following in his legacy in not only in music, but also as a humanitarian. Shawn, where did you get the idea for Feel Rich?
So I've worked for QD3 for the past 10 years. I saw that a lot of hip hop artists were actually living a healthy lifestyle, but there wasn't a brand or a platform that allowed them to speak on it. And of course, like Q was saying, everything that they always do always has a purpose-driven mission. And so I pitched the idea to Q, like, what if we create a company and a brand that makes health inspirational, aspirational, sexy, and something that you know, is fun. And so we came up with the idea. We created the name Feel Rich. It's about teaching the community to feel rich inside. It's also named after my parents,
Yeah.
Phyllis and Richard. And so since then, we did that in 2011, and we've been off to the races since.
That's great. So what kinds of things are you doing, Quincy, to get your message out there, to get, you know, health is the new rich?
Yeah, so the thing is information is already out there, right? But it's not compelling, and it's not connective to the urban community. And so what we're doing is we're taking people that the community look up to, namely hip hop artists who have a huge influence, right? Huge influence. They wear a t-shirt in a video, and then, you know, the next week kids are all over eBay searching for that t-shirt. So we want to use storytelling as a way to engage the community in learning more and just caring more about taking care of themselves, you know. And a lot of what we're talking about is free techniques to stay healthy, and it's all about preventative health. It's not something that only the rich can enjoy, right? We're basically showing people it's not that hard to become healthy as long as you're thinking about it. So
you're a lifelong vegetarian, right, Quincy?
Well, I grew up a vegetarian, and then now I'm an extremely healthy omnivore. But I've always been very conscious of what I'm putting into my body. And, you know, that's how you stay away from the doctor and also the doctor bills, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what we want to, you know, teach people. It's the thing is, the key takeaway that we learned is that it's so much easier than you think. You just have to be conscious of it. So we want to put it on people's minds.
Yeah. Shawn, how are you doing this? Give us a sense of the process, the events, the activities. What are you doing to get this message out there?
Well, I feel like, people say that we're kind of all over the place, but I feel like we're a true millennial company where the most important thing is to get the message out. So whether it's a documentary that we have coming out on iTunes and Netflix, May 23rd, that Quincy narrated, that his dad executive produced, or it's the live events that we're putting on with in partnership with the Super Bowl and the NFL, or our social, working with brands to help them craft messaging around health and wellness to get to the community. The most important thing that we're doing is getting the message out that health is the new wealth, that this is attainable, and health and fitness can be fun. And so we, wherever the people are, we are trying to get the message out and get in front of them.
Yep.
That's a great strategy. So Quincy, how did you make the transition into this particular activity? It seems like this is a bit of a departure from music and documentary film, but maybe it's all one whole. Tell me how it works.
Well, the thing is that, health has always been super important to me. When I had my studio and production company in South Central Los Angeles, when I was working with Ice Cube and all those guys, I was the guy who was in the corner drinking carrot juice, and all the artists on my label, I would try to give them the same thing and try to teach them about that. So it's always been a passion. And this is really just an extension of that passion. And I know that, most people have never really tried to sort of the holistic health lifestyle. And once you try it, it's like, it's hard to go back, right? It's like once you try Whole Foods, it's hard to eat McDonald's. Yeah. And so we want to give people a taste of what it's like. Because I think, the one thing they don't realize is how much their rap heroes, they're health nuts. Behind closed doors, they're doing yoga, they're meditating, Eminem, Dre, like they're all into this stuff. And but they're just not talking about it so much. So
and also I want to bring up one thing, Devin, is
sure.
What we're trying to do with Feel Rich is take the the foundation that we've learned in the hip hop business and music business and apply it to health and wellness.
Exactly.
So, I was very fortunate to, be trained under QD3 and I learned a lot of how, to make a product like music and then push it out, and you have to stay authentic and it has to be relatable for it to hit. And then also how to manage and help guide up and coming artists. So those tactics and strategy that I learned and we learned, we're now applying into the health and wellness space.
So Quincy, as you talk to people, fans, friends, the public, what kind of impact do you think you're having? Are you able to measure results in any meaningful way?
I think so. I mean, you can, Shawn can tell you, there's people out there with Feel Rich tattoos on right now because, when you lead people to the health water, so to speak, and they get a taste of that, that's not something they're going to forget, right? It's something that changes their life. So I think that's the most measurable is how we see people's lives change. A lot of single mothers who just aren't aware of these things, they're stressed, they don't have a lot of time, and we give them techniques that improve their lives a lot, that reduce the stress, increase the health, hopefully longevity. And so I think that type of life impact is it's immeasurable, but it's also visible when we see the change, right?
Yeah. Shawn, what are some of the principles that you teach? What are some of the tips you give, advice you offer?
With Feel Rich, we're essentially a brand that is promoting health as the new wealth, and that we're redefining what it means to be rich, and that, health is attainable and that is accessible to everyone. So I think that, what Feel Rich is doing really, really well is we're able to identify key people that are in the community, and we're helping to give them a platform to put their message out there. So whether it's The Game, who's, preaching his 60 days of fitness, or Slim Thug, who's doing his Hustle Fit, or Crystal Wall, who's in Houston and just opened up her her own dance studio, and she's having these African-American women who have never stepped into a Zumba class, never gone to a Gold's Gym. They're coming to her fitness class, and they're changing their lives, not just healthy, but also emotionally. So I feel like what we're doing really well is finding the young talent that's out there and helping them and give them a platform to push that message.
Exactly. And it's also, good business for the artist because, rap has a certain stigma to it. And I think stepping into this lane, allows for, very interesting product endorsements and that sort of thing. So I think it could become like a nice revenue stream for artists as well, a new business lane for hip hop.
Now,
Devin, I just want to say,
Shawn, go ahead.
About what Quincy was saying is we're starting to see that more and more. And this is kind of what we identified back in 2011 was that a lot of these hip hop artists were getting healthy. So you had like Fat Joe losing weight, you had Paul Wall losing weight. And so that was the inspiration. But now what's happening is it's gone to the next phase. And now you have hip hop artists who are actually opening up for-profit businesses in the community. So you have guys like Styles P opening up juice bars in the Bronx, in Brooklyn. You have rappers opening up fitness studios back from in the community that they came from. So now it's becoming more of a business and not just a message.
Yep. Yeah, can I add one more thing to that? I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
More. But, a lot of these artists are really attributing their recent success. Like Eminem took a huge step up once he started exercising more. Dr. Dre is in great shape now and his career is peaking, right?
Yeah.
And so really good health translates to better business. Fat Joe lost weight, all of a sudden endorsements started coming, so it's also good business, which is a pretty good motivator for the rappers.
Yeah, it motivates me.
Yeah.
So, I have a question. It's a little tangential, but I'm really curious about this, and so I'm going to override my better judgment and ask a lame question. But Hamilton has been hugely popular across all sectors of the American population, as far as I can tell. Everybody loves Hamilton, but it's deeply influenced, at least, by hip hop, I think.
Right.
What kind of impact is Hamilton's popularity having on the hip hop community?
God, that's kind of hard to say. I think what it does is just show the possibilities. It's just kind of like what we're doing with health. Hip hop hasn't really been successful on Broadway yet. And I think hopefully this is the inspiration point for much more to come, broadening our lanes. And I think that's what we're all about as well, is expanding the opportunity.
Still reach a broader audience as well, right? So.
Exactly. It validates the culture in a new form.
Yeah. Well, listen, Shawn, I want to just ask you and Quincy a couple of personal questions. So let me start with you. Who do you admire or look up to?
Are you asking me or Q?
I'm asking you now, Shawn, and then I'll ask Q as well.
Okay, that's a great question. I would say, I would say that I admire someone like Crystal Wall, who is an African-American woman who, is getting out of I guess what you would call the stigma of just being a celebrity hip hop wife. And she went and got herself a lot better. And not just because she wanted to do it for herself, she wanted to do it for her family. And now she's leading a movement in Houston where she has these women coming and bettering themselves. So I think it's really inspiring to see someone like Crystal, who didn't grow up with the same health information that I did, whose family was, plagued with diabetes and cancer and heart disease. And she's coming in and trying to break the cycle of past generational bad habits, not just for herself and her family, but now she's doing it for a whole, movement in the city of Houston.
That is an inspiring person and example. That's great. QD3, what about you? Who inspires you?
So many people. In general, anybody who lifts while they climb, so to speak, where they incorporate some kind of social cause into their work in general, into their whole life. It's like a lifestyle, right? And you can bake it into every part of your life. You know, every action you take, you can be mindful of how it might influence others. And then also single mothers impress me. You know, they're doing a great job at raising their kids with very little time and resources. And that's a demographic that we very much want to cater to, you know, because they're the influencers in their homes. And in inner city communities, in places like South Central or Chicago, or what have you, it's 70% single mothers raising those kids. So they're the influencers. So we need to take care of them and inspire them to be at their best so that they can teach that to their kids, you know. So a lot of what we talk about really is geared towards them.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, what is your superpower?
What is my superpower? Okay. I would say that my superpower is my ability to get people super excited. I feel like probably Quincy can tell you this. I'm a really good promoter, and when I have a vision or an idea, my energy is pretty contagious, and I can get, you know, a bunch of people together and get them excited and kind of get the ball moving. So I would say my superpower is my promoting skills.
Excellent. Quincy, what's your superpower?
My superpower, I would say I have almost a savant ability to see what's coming, you know? So when we were making our documentaries or working on records, you know, it takes you a year to complete the project and then another few months to actually release it. So you have to be at least that much ahead of the curve. And there's never seemed to be an effort to kind of know what those things are. And it's been 35 years in the game, and just a very organic sense of what's coming or who the next artist is going to be. So like a lot of times we would sign artists to do documentaries before they were even famous, but we just had a feeling. And so that's how we got a lot of the cool footage with people like Tupac and Dr. Dre and all that stuff. So just that gut sense of who and what is next.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the show today. I really appreciate what you're doing. Before you go, let me ask you, Shawn, and then Quincy, to tell us how people can learn more about Feel Rich and connect with you personally.
Yeah, so everyone can go and look at feelrich.com, our social media, Instagram, Feel Rich, at Feel Rich, our Facebook's Feel Rich TV. You can connect with me at Shuffy Feel Rich on Instagram. But everyone check out for the documentary, May 23rd on iTunes and Netflix. It's executive produced by Quincy. It's narrated by Quincy. We have Common, Russell Simmons, Paul Wall, Slim Thug. And it's the first time that all these hip hop artists have come together to come celebrate this health and wellness movement that they're leading. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. So check it out.
What's it called?
It's called Feel Rich, Health is the New Wealth.
Yep. And here's the thing. We were talking to a couple people and they were like, look, you know, I have a half an hour to do this interview. And once they realized we were talking about yoga and meditation, a lot of the rappers were like, cancel the next thing. And they gave us extra time. So that kind of tells you how passionate they are about this and how sort of rarely they actually get asked about these topics.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Kind of put that out there, yeah.
So Quincy, how do people get in touch with you?
On Instagram, I'm the real Cutie3. and then on Twitter, I think it's just twitter.com/Cutie3. And then if you search for either Quincy Jones III or Cutie3 on most platforms, you'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to be with me today. I wish you every success in helping people to be more healthy.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
All righty, let's do some good.